Hello everyone, Krydax here. Welcome back to our Pyanodons playthrough. In our last episode, we set up our niobium processing to get niobium plates, and I went ahead and did a few things in between episodes. I barreled up, I'll go ahead and show you. I barreled up the organic solvent that we get as a byproduct from making circuits that gets actively provided, so that'll never back up. And then I went ahead and created a, where is it? Organic solvent producing from acetone, which is one of the main reasons we made acetone in the first place, and syngas, and that creates organic solvent and ammonia. And we're actively providing the ammonia just so that we can always produce enough organic solvent. And it actually looks like something's gone wrong here because I'm backed up on acetone. I guess I need overflow removal on phosphine and phosphoric acid because it looks like we've made too much of those. In any case, we also kind of fixed all the chests around the edge here. We're requesting hot air barrels and then getting rid of them. Also, I did have to barrel up hot air near our hot air production, but that's not very interesting to look at. Let's see what's wrong with our acetone production here. Let's see. Acetone needs cumene, which needs... Oh, ceramic. Ceramic is not working. What's happened there? We've run out of clay because we've run out of steam. And I've run out of steam because... Oh. I guess I just disconnected these and never reconnected them. That's lame. Well, at least it's an easy problem to fix. That should do it. We've got clay again, which means we've got ceramic again. I think. Yeah, okay. Cool. So that should be fixed, and we'll be getting more acetone soon. So the only thing left to do, and I figured I'd wait until we started the video, is send the stacked urea into the logistics network. So over here, we decided we're not going to create a ton of extra urea right now. So I had some extra urea in these two chests, and so I went ahead and stacked all of that up. So this will just be a storage provider, and this one will be a passive provider. And then this has a logistics condition to only input if there's less than 500 stacked urea in the network. So this will be providing stacked urea over to the niobium production, and we should be able to follow that and see niobium get produced. And then we're going to dive into a little bit more of the next steps in Pyanodons. I'm also just doing various animal and plant genetic researches and stuff. Okay, so we're getting acetone again. Cool beans. Alright, the urea is slowly getting here. We should see it any second now. I also don't need these hot air barrels anymore over there. So we can kind of unload those in here. Here comes the urea. Oh, I actually need fast inserters for this. Alright, that'll produce ammonia. And we should see our first niobium oxide getting produced. And then that will produce our first niobium plates. Sweet. That's a good feeling. Alright, and then that will load into a chest here. What's the stack size? 500? Okay. And then that will output to this provider chest. Stack size is 500, so we'll just do... I think 2 layers is plenty. Honestly, 1 layer is plenty. And I believe niobium pipes I can already make. So I will put this in my logistics request. And then we'll make niobium pipes right here, because I'll need those. Well, I mean, I need them for some buildings, but also the niobium pipe to grounds have a length of 32. So I can make a lot more, or a lot farther underground pipes with niobium, which is the main reason I even want niobium right now, at least. So we will set up all these guys to produce pipes. We can cancel the hot air request on this guy. Put them all in there. Let's see, why are we stopped? Looks like we're out of niobium concentrate. Oh, we just have a little backup there. And this is not actually grabbing sand. This needs to be... There we go. Maybe I moved that building, I think is... Or I moved something. There we go. Okay. Everything's running again. Sweet. So niobium pipes will be very handy to have. I might... Should I just replace all my pipes with niobium pipes? Or is that not a good idea? I mean, there's really no benefit to straight niobium pipes, because regular pipes do the same thing. But they look cool. How expensive is a niobium plate? Overall... It's not too bad. I mean, some salt. The ammonia is the real kicker, but at least for right now, we've got a lot of stored up urea and stuff. So we'll just check niobium off the list and we'll deal with that soon. So, in between episodes, I also looked into, oh, okay, we're going to try to get Yotoi aloe plants in the next episode. And so I looked at this and then I saw... Okay, well, we can do that. We've got logistics science packs. We've got all these things. And then I looked at good alien sample, and I got very sad. Because this requires... Well, we have plastic, we have poor alien sample, we have glassware, we have biosample, but then it requires a bunch of stuff we are not even close to having. It requires DNA polymerase, which requires ARCADs. ARCAD, ARQUAD, I don't know how to pronounce that. ARCAD seems maybe more correct. So we have most of these things, but we don't have ARCAD honey. Then we need microfiber, which we can actually produce from raw fiber and sodium hydroxide. So we actually can produce microfiber. We also need Corlex milk, which only comes from, you guessed it, Corlexes. And Corlexes are an entirely new animal. And that comes from... Wait, filled milk barrel. There we go. That comes from feeding Corlexes with, I guess there's a few different recipes, but I think Corlex food is required. And Corlex food requires fish, requires fawoge, and so at a minimum, and meat, and so at a minimum we'll need fish, we'll need fawoge, we'll need Corlexes. That's just to get Corlex milk, and then formamide we can create with stuff that we have. That's just ammonia and carbon dioxide. And all of that is just to get good alien sample to get Yotoi aloe. So, and I think Corlexes maybe also require something else that we don't have yet. Fish, cow DNA sample we can do, Corlex Codex. Markmoo Codex. Okay. So we can do all this. That also requires fish. It requires fetal serum. and that is guts and silver. We don't have silver either. Guts we can get from rendering pretty much anything. And then artificial blood. Oh boy, even more. We need albumin, which we can get from blood. And Flutec PP6, which of course requires two things we've never heard of. Decalen. Okay, we can make that. That's actually not too bad. And then cobalt fluoride, which of course requires crazy stuff. Hot air, we have acid gas we can get fairly easily from a variety of sources. Tailings is interesting. We can make acid gas from tailings, so I should probably be doing that instead of dumping the tailings. You don't get very much, you only get 15 from 100, but you can also get acid gas pretty easily from coal bed gas, or I feel like there's still another way that I used to make it, but you can always just make it from sulfur and refined syngas as well. Then we need rare earth oxides, which is a whole chain for rare earth, which we'll have to set up. And cobalt extract, which requires cyanic acid, which we can make from urea. There's a few different ways to make it, I guess. We also need mixed ores, which is copper, rare earth ore, and nickel. So, there's a lot of stuff that goes into making a Corlex, which goes into making Yotoi. So all that to say, we are not going to see Yotoi allo for a long time, which means we're not going to see bedding for a long time, because the only way to make bedding is with Yotoi leaves. So, and I think we would definitely add in formic acid, although that requires pi science, so never mind. But formic acid is pretty easy to get from just iron and copper. That's cheap compared to all these other alien things. So I kind of went down the rabbit hole a little bit, looking at all the different things we need. I also noticed chemical science packs. I was expecting to need this recipe, which is kind of reminiscent of what you need in the non-AlienLife version, where you need the red circuit boards, you need some other stuff, stainless steel. But I noticed there's another way to get it that we've already unlocked that actually doesn't require too much that we don't have. Brains I can get by just rendering the Vrauks that I have or Augs that I have. I already have Nextlet plates, I already have both science packs, I already have small parts and oil. And fetal serum we already saw is not too difficult. So it requires a lot of resources and Arcat honey. So that's really the only thing I don't have available. Brains are available if I just start doing some other things. It's incredibly expensive, but it's worth checking out if there's any chemical science pack researches that only maybe take like 100 science packs. That would be super beneficial to me. So I can, if I want to, I could make 100 or 200 chemical science packs. I definitely don't want to automate chemical science this way for the long run because, you know, if we start thinking about... The other problem is a lot of researches require pi science, which is a lot farther away. So I'm trying to think about like what requires chemical science that would really help me. A lot of these processing stage 3 require pi science. I guess I could get substations, but we don't have complex circuit boards, so that's kind of pointless. I guess there are a few animal researches. Tholins, stage 1. You can get Tholins, but that requires complex circuit boards and who knows what else. Worker robot cargo size is nice, I guess. But yeah, a lot of these things require pi science. We can get architecture 3. Problem is those require substations, which super steel, we're essentially never going to see that. I might actually change that recipe in the files because I'd like to get to factory building Mark IIIs sooner. We could get recursion 2, but that requires 500 chemical science. What else? There's not a ton that I'm seeing. Maybe I'm missing some things. But it looks like most of the research is that I really want. I guess I could do worker robot speed. That's nice. So it might be worth doing at some point. I'm not going to deal with that right now. The first thing I want to do, really, because we're going to need to start getting all of these alien life plants and animals. So we're just, yeah, Pyanodons is insane. I mean, you saw the title of my last video, and I hadn't even looked into all of these different animals. So we essentially need to automate almost every single animal that we can unlock. And there's a lot. There's multiple plants that I can automate. There's multiple animals that I can automate. And we're going to need to automate pretty much all of them at some point or another. So the first thing I want to do is arcads, mainly because those are available now. And I'm going to need the arcad honey, I think it's called, for various things. And then they need natural gas barrels rather than water. So we actually are going to need to pipe in a lot of natural gas. So because I'm going to need natural gas in decent amounts, I figured, well, first of all, I've already used this oil derrick for oil, and then these two guys down here are making tar. And so I need natural gas to come from somewhere else. So I figured what I would do is use these two for natural gas, and I'm going to get drilling fluid 2 first so that we can get twice as much from, because once you unlock the oil well, that's when it decides how much is like in the oil well thing. So I'm pretty sure that's how we get natural gas. How to find oil and tar. This says it's only for oil and tar, but I thought... we're going to run down to that one in the bottom left real quick just to make sure we don't waste our time. But I'm pretty sure you can switch the crude oil thing to give you natural gas. At least that's how it used to work, but let's double check. Yeah, so we can switch it to natural, right? Doesn't that switch to natural gas? Where did it go? Oil derrick. Oh, it's here. You can still hit Shift G and it switches the expected resources, but it doesn't look like it actually outputs natural gas. Oh, there we go. I just had to... I guess there's a weirdness. You gotta like rotate the building around to delete out the crude oil. I don't actually know how that works. But there we go. Okay, so we're back to oil. Okay, I just wanted to make sure we could get natural gas from oil derricks first. And then oil derrick, medium oil derrick. I just wanted to check. Wait, why won't it let me click on these? It won't even let me click. Oil derrick, medium, yeah, complex circuit boards. We're not going to see those for a long time. So I won't be able to get tier 2, but let's go ahead and get drilling fluid type 2 going. So, drilling fluid, I don't think I've produced anywhere. This was just me checking on some different ammonia methods. Again, I think manure is really the intended way. but acetone might honestly be an easier way to make ammonia. Once we get to chemical science, there is a nice way to make ammonia that we can unlock here. Okay, that requires pi science as well. But it's just 1 chromium and 100 nitrogen and 300 hydrogen. So that's essentially going to be the easiest way to make ammonia in the long run. And so once I unlock that, I can say goodbye to needing heaps of manure. But that's pi science and chemical science, so not going to worry about that right now. Let's go ahead and get drilling fluid set up. So drilling fluid, I wonder what it's called. Probably just drill fluid or something. Okay, so we're already making type 1, now we need type 2. I probably don't need a lot. Like, I'd guess 20 per second is plenty. Because we're only going to need to use it to unlock patches, and then every once in a while I might use some of these recipes, but we're not going to drill for tar or oil or natural gas or iron ore. Saline water is the one thing I might use it for, because that makes much easier to access saline water. What else? I guess we can make lead ore, tin ore, titanium. Yeah, I'm not going to need that. So we've already got copper ore. I just need to put it in a chest. We've got sand. Starch I need to set up. And guar gum requires guar bean seeds, which come from guar. Surprise, surprise. And that comes from guar plantations. And I can use lamps, sand, soil, water, carbon dioxide. So I can just make it straight up out of sand and soil, which requires nothing. Or I can mix together sand, clay, carbon dioxide. This one would require the least amount of lamps. 2 plantations versus 4.5. I think I'll just keep the 4.5 since that doesn't require any extra complications. And then we need starch, which comes from guar bean seeds, fiberboard, and sodium sulfate, I think is the best recipe for it. So we are already making sodium sulfate, and fiberboard, we're not necessarily making extra, but I don't need all of my circuits. So what I'll do is I'll take the fiberboard that I'm producing in here. Also, I think there's an upgrade to the fiberboard recipe. Yes. So currently we're using this recipe, and if I just bring in some sodium sulfate, I can make twice as much fiberboard, and I use half the fiber, half the treated wood, about the same amount of sodium hydroxide, because we go to 3 to 4 to 5 to 8, which is close. So I'm gonna import is the right word. So we're gonna bring in sodium sulfate here. We're gonna switch this recipe. And so we need a requester chest right here for sodium sulfate. I think 40 is plenty. And then that way we'll get more fiberboard, which will allow us to have some fiberboard come out as extra. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of extra slots here. I guess we'll come out here. And limit that. Fighter, chest, output mode. And that stacks to 100, so we'll do 1,000 fiberboard. Okay, so now we've kind of got fiberboard going, so I don't have to worry about that. And unfortunately, we've got a bit of a loop here because of guar bean seeds. But I do need to figure out how to make guar in the first place. Oh, maybe I don't need one. Maybe the plantations will run without it. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like these don't... They're not quite... Yeah, they don't require modules. Although you can put the guar module in, so I will. At least I feel like that's intended. And I'm actually going to put this down by my previous drilling fluid site. Just because that makes sense in my head. And we've already got soil here. I will need a building for it, though. I'll put one of the big boys in case I need the space. Okay, so inside we need guar bean plantations. I just hate how many things need lamps. I'd be fine if they used lamps and then gave you back lamps, so it was, but they just used them up. It's like, well, what's up with that? Okay. Connect up the water. Throw in a pump jack. Oh, we have new recipes because of drilling fluid type 2. Not that I'm going to use those very often, but... So we've got water, we need soil and sand. Okay, how much? 2.667 of each. Soil extractor. Okay, that's 3.6. And I'm pretty sure it's actually a solid separator. Can turn soil into sand. Yeah. At a ratio of 20 to 13. So if we need 2.667, 3.6, let's plug this in. I'm not actually sure. So that's going to come from also soil. Oh, and I also need sand for the drilling fluid itself. So we'll just do it this way. So I need 3 soil extractors and 2 solid separators. That makes it easy. And then they can all feed directly in. Now this one's interesting because we've got all sorts of stuff. We want sand to be on a belt. And then we want the other stuff. Do I need biomass for any of this? I don't. So here's what we'll do. We'll put biomass on its own little belt. That will output priority left. And then we'll have a burner. And then we will just burn... Actually, coarse fractions... I want to keep too. It's really just the limestone I want to get rid of. The reason I want to keep coarse fractions is they are used to make a ton of moss. And looks like other stuff. You know what? Nah, screw it. I think I overcomplicate when I worry too much about byproducts. So we're just going to filter all of these in here, throw it into a burner, throw the burned stuff into the burner, and call it a day. The problem is biomass. How do I get rid of biomass? Because the biomass won't burn, is the problem. At least I don't think it will. In a gas refinery, I can turn it into flue gas, but I believe gas refineries are huge. So I'd rather not use one of those. I can just turn it into coal. And can I do anything else with it? I don't think so. I guess I can just vent carbon dioxide. But that does require us to put it on a belt. I don't know if this is the easiest way, but this should get rid of everything. Let's double check. Okay, that should work. And then this will come up. We'll have the output belt here. We need to grab things at a slow-ish rate, so regular inserters should work. Output rate is even slower. Although, I mean, it seems allowed because Guar, you know, it's not like the miners where it just allows all biomodules. In this particular case, it looks like this is actually intended. Because I believe it could have been programmed so that you can't put these in these buildings. So it seems intended, so I actually just only need like one of these. So guar beans are very fast to make if that's intended. If you know if it's intended or not, let me know. Clearly I don't have enough sand and soil because that speeds these up by 750%. Oh, that's kind of intense. But that will get me all the beans I need. And then guar gum. Okay, so we need another solid separator. And I will actually make it right here. Guar bean seeds. And the biomass will go to the right. Feels kind of wasteful. We get a decent amount of biomass out of all this. Okay, I at least won't waste the biomass. The coarse fractions, I don't really care about. But the biomass, we will put on a belt. That goes out. It's weird that it didn't build the underground belt across the compact loader. It just deleted it instead. Okay, so then guar bean seeds turn directly into guar gum. Now, do I need that guar bean seeds for other stuff? Is that worth providing? Guar gum, we can actually make more biomass out of it. We need it to make the starch. But I can also make the starch in this building. Okay, so I need a pulp mill. Pulp mill. And that is going to make guar gum. And then starch. We make also in a pulp mill. And we need fiberboard and sodium sulfate. So I will import those. I was about to switch that, but then I realized there's no point to switching it. So fiberboard and sodium sulfate. We need them in very tiny numbers, so I'm not going to worry about stacking. And I actually had a thought about UPS where I'm realizing that maybe I should just not stack anything, not use deadlock stacking whatsoever, except for belts. Like, for example, when I have an ore belt that I want to bring in from a long distance away, stacking that helps a lot. Or if I have, like, the robots carrying niobium ore, stacking that can help a lot. But maybe stacking things inside the base is just not worth it, because the only thing stacking does is it means I need less robots flying around, which means less charging ports needed and less power used for robots. That's really all it does. And my question, which is somewhat rhetorical, but if you know the answer or have an idea, feel free to put it in the comments. My question is, am I going to use more UPS stacking and unstacking, or having 8 times as many bots flying around? Because I'll need, you know, in terms of stacked items, I'll need 8 times as many bots to carry stacked items around. And that's a lot more bots. You know, I'd be probably using 1,000 already. And so in the long run, am I going to use more UPS by having 8 times as many bots, or doing the stacking and unstacking all over the place? My intuition says I'll actually use more UPS doing the stacking and unstacking, but I don't know how, you know, I know large amounts of bots are kind of UPS intensive as well, so I don't actually know. I'm switching this one to be the starch. This is guar gum. Okay, we're just going to use a loader. And then biomass can just be plopped out here. And what else do I need to do? Starch. What does that get used in? I might want to output that. Oh, it gets used in a lot of different foods as well. So I think I will output starch. As well as the drilling fluid. So we need a mixer to make the drilling fluid. We'll put the starch on a belt. This is making drilling fluid, which requires water that we already have. Oh, we never even hooked those up. So we've got water. We will have starch. I guess we need guar gum here as well, so we'll take this. And we'll do something fancy here. No, I'll just change this output to be up there. So we've got guar, we've got starch, sand. We need to come over. That will grab sand, and then copper ore we need as well. Which we'll have also in this chest. Okay, copper ore will be there. And then I'm going to barrel this in-house. Right here. And we will have the empty barrels come out there. Or no, that will be providing the empty barrels will come in. This will be drilling fluid type 2 barrel fill. And then this will be copper ore. So we need to request copper ore, sulfate, and we'll do 200 copper ore. I think 100 sodium sulfate is more than enough, and 100 fiber ore is more than enough. Okay. Oh, and we need to start providing copper ore. We'll just do like 4 stacks. Should be plenty. I would need to make a ton more roboports if I stopped stacking things, that's for sure. And then what else was I dealing with here? Biomass. So until I decide to stop stacking, I'll keep stacking, but I may at some point try to switch everything over. So we will stack biomass here. Let me just get rid of all this biomass. And then I will actively provide that away. That'll be an output. Perfect. Okay. Stuff seems to not be working yet. This is the wrong belt that I'm splitting. That's the belt I want to be splitting. Perfect. Okay, and then guar beans, I want to put a limit on it, otherwise we'll be using up all of our sand. And I need some of the sand to make it over here for my drilling fluid. Oh, this requires guar bean seeds too. We'll do one of those guys. 8 per second should be sufficient. That'll do it. Okay, so now we've got starch. Starch we also want to provide. Should I stack it? Should I not? See, this is what I hate about Deadlock stacking plus Factorio. I think I even talked about that at the very beginning of Pyanodons. It's just a really weird dynamic of like so much stacking and unstacking plus chest transfers. It just feels like you're doing so many steps when if you didn't have stacking and you didn't have Factorio, you would just put that straight into a provider chest right there. You know what would be awesome, thinking out loud here, would be if somehow, and I don't know how this would work at all, but if somehow the robots could fly, like the logistics robots could fly into Factorio buildings. Obviously, that's not probably possible or gonna happen, but that would be really sweet. We need empty barrels. Let's actually go with 200. And then those are provided here. So that'll be drilling fluid. The water seems to be an issue still. Oh. I'm using up all the water here. That's interesting. Guess we need some more. Yeah, and we use 450 water just for those. That should help a little bit. I guess that was slowing things down. Alright, there we go. Drilling fluid type 2 is a go. Wow, that can use 250. Do I really need a third water, or are these are gonna back up eventually? Because we can't use all 3 of these. Oh, wasn't I supposed to have 2 separators making sand? That's right. Gosh dang it. Okay, we are gonna copy this little setup here. We're gonna put this up here so we can still burn everything. And then we need 2 solid separators. Making sand. And at this point, I might as well just use filter splitters. And biomass just goes left. I guess when there's 3 outputs and you just care about one of them going a different direction, a filter splitter is going to be better than using filter inserters. But that's right. This needs to be a different biomass chain. And then this stuff needs to just actually come to the burner itself. Okay, let's try that. Oh, sand. Oh my goodness. I am... Oof. Not thinking straight. Okay. New plan. Be smarter. Be smarter, Krydax. Alright, so we're still going to put all this onto one belt. And then we're going to filter... probably... biomass, right? And then we'll have that split off and go over here. And then sand left. So that's the whole point of this thing. And that needs to actually come down to there. And then everything else will go back and get burned. And biomass is going to come over and attach here. And we can just put the biomass in to get burned. Okay, that should do it. And now this belt needs to be here. Something's still backed up. Oh, did I not make these? There we go. Okay, between the two of them, We actually need a blue inserter here. Alright. Wow, that was way more difficult than it should have been. While I'm here, is there anything I should be just doing with force fractions by themselves? Looks like they're an ingredient in a lot of various plant things, which I'm not going to worry about right now. And other than that, I can burn it to make ash, which I'm already doing. I can make stone, iron oxide, and gravel. That's it. Okay. I don't really need any of those things desperately. But I think we finally got all this running properly. Looks like. And I think most of our guar bean stuff is going to making starch right now. So let's split this into a half and half here. But yeah, okay, drilling fluid type 2. Bam, accomplished. So now I can go work on getting a bunch of natural gas. I don't know how many of these barrels I will need, but I'll take a pile and at least go set up the oil derricks and pipes. I'll build 2 small oil derricks, and then I also need some of my new niobium pipe to grounds. Which apparently... oh, okay, there. That should be plenty. And I'll also, while I'm here, I will probably need, if I can find them, power poles. Where are my medium power poles? I guess they're over by the creosote? Nope. Oh, they're right here. They're because they use liquids. They're in a big building. Because I will need a lot of power poles to get over there. Because I'm going straight east from here. I guess this actually is not that far. Not that far at all. And the good news is there's 2 more just over here as well, once we need them. So we'll start with this guy. And then drilling fluid type 2. We will need to unbarrel. Type 2. That's the easiest way to find it. Need to power both of these up. And then we'll do something like this. And we'll see how this works, but it should give me like, is it 8 million? What does it say? It's like between 1 and 4 million normally, so it should give me between 2 and 8 million now. Yeah. I think that's supposed to say between 1 and 4 million per patch, not 100,000 and 400,000. So I should get between 2 and 8 million once this fires up. I don't think we're going to have enough drilling fluid, though, so we're going to have to go grab some more. And I'll wait to connect this one so I don't split my drilling fluid usage. But yeah, that should work, and then we'll take our niobium pipes, which go in a different place than regular pipes in the inventory. And you can see how nice these are. They're just super long. Okay, I actually don't want to go to that part of the base. I think I want to go down this way. I'll probably put our quads actually in there. So we'll just kind of have this be where natural gas happens. And we'll throw a big tank to start collecting it. Bam. Okay, we'll grab some more natural gas. Confuse all the robots while we run past them. Yeah, once the starch backs up, which it looks like we're not going to do for a while, so I'm actually going to just close that off for a second so we can get more drilling fluid. Hopefully that's enough. Get rid of our empty barrels. And then I think we'll call this an episode once I finish up this natural gas. It's been a longer one than intended. That's pretty normal with me, I guess. Alright, hopefully. I would love to get modules too. I wonder, is that something I can get with just chemical science? Oh, technically I can get them now. Oh, they require red circuits though, which we're not going to see for a million years. I should probably remove that until I make sure I select natural gas. So yeah, complex circuits, still going to be a while. We have a lot of the things we need, but there's still quite a few more. Like getting phosphoric acid was a big step, but we're also going to need this optical fiber stuff. Requires nichrome, so we need nichrome, we need nitrobenzene, we need chlorine, we need aramid, which requires molybdenum. So really, two big things we're going to need to do are get, and why does that say drilling fluid 1 on it, whereas it's using drilling fluid 2? Anyway, molybdenum plates and rare earth ore stuff are two resources we're going to need, and then I'll also need to do nickel, because I did zinc, but we also need nickel ore, which it looks like we've got up here. So we'll need to get the rest of the resources. We'll also need silver. So that's nickel, silver, rare earth, and molybdenum. So there's 4 more resources we just need to process in the first place. Okay, there we go. Oh yeah, look at that, 6 million. So we'll switch that. We'll empty the fluid system and then rotate. It's kind of weird that you need to do all that. But now we've got natural gas. And then we'll hook up this one. And that'll start unlocking. I'll need to bring back some more drilling fluid type 2. But this natural gas will be able to fuel our whatever our quads need it for. Or arcads. Arcads. The little giant bee wasp things. Sweet. So we've got natural gas. So we'll be working on arcads in the next episode, and who knows how far we're gonna get and how many more things we need to do before. It just feels like Pyanodons is one of those things where you could like spend the rest of your life playing it, because even just to get to red circuits and pi science and chemical science, it feels like we've still got hundreds of hours left. And there's still so much more past that. You know, there's science packs. I don't even know what the other ones are called, but we've got production science packs. Who even knows what goes into those? And then later on, there's the utility science pack. Let's just take a gander. Oh, weirdly enough, we can kind of make that same type of special recipe, but it looks like the normal way to make it, we need, you know, all sorts of stuff that who even knows how difficult it is. And maybe it's kind of a bell curve on difficulty, and once we get Pi Science and Chemical Science, the other ones actually can get easier, potentially. I don't really know. Or they just get even more complicated, knowing Pyanodons. So, in any case, we will call it an episode here. We'll be working on ARCADs next time. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I will see you next time.